Hi, everybody.
All right.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. High five, guys. High fives. High fives. High fives.
Oh, I almost go the wrong way on this one because it's totally different over here.
Oh yeah, you're lefty righty. Yeah.
Well,
So
no,
the
I mean,
Brady Bunch
like,
thing?
the regular lives on Facebook mirror everything, and this one doesn't. So
It's mirrored for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can read my shirt. So
Oh.
Beautiful. And it says Indigo.
Oh yeah, I guess.
does.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, what are we doing here, you guys?
Oh hey. So talking about tomorrow, right? Or,
Right.
We're going to talk about tomorrow. Yeah. Guys, I'm so grateful to for the stars to align these beautiful beings here in meat suits with us tonight. And thank you, Steffi, for facilitating. Guys, we want to talk about quantum healing. We have a beautiful quantum healer here, Matt Schmidt, up there, right there. And we have some other sisters over there and there who have also experienced quantum healing just as I have. And we're here to talk about the beautiful healing benefits, as well as Matt has experienced quantum healing. We are all people that have recovered from addiction and many deeper traumas through quantum healing. And so we want to talk about that. We have a workshop and group session tomorrow at Solutions Recovery Center in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. All are welcome. That is from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at 621 Evans Street in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, 54901 in Oshkosh, 3 to 6 p.m. Bring a notebook. So, yeah, before we get into that, Matt, you just want to take it away and just tell us about what is quantum healing for those that don't understand what quantum healing is and how that can really change our game.
I think it takes a lot of forms, and really quantum healing is really the field of possibilities. And what I've noticed, so we're just going to kind of focus on the addiction aspect of stuff, going through like the things that we did. Like, you can take away whatever, but those patterns that created that drive, that pull, why you feel like you have to do something, what void you're trying to fill, there's an underlying reason why that is. You're not, you don't just become addicted for no reason. Like, there's always underlying factors, and even when that stimulus or whatever we're addicted to is no longer there, those patterns are still there. So this doesn't matter if you're actively in addiction or if you're outside of addiction. Those things that drove you to experience that are also things that need to be addressed, things that need to be healed. And I think that we're seeing a change in how we address recovery, I guess. So there's no one size fits all. Each one of us has had different experiences, different success, different things that work for us because we're not the same. Like, I don't know, we're trying to fit everything into a box of something that doesn't fit into a box. Each person has their own personal journey, the stuff that they're going through, and how they got there, the underlying factors. I don't know if you're familiar with like the iceberg theory, but you only see like 10% of what is actually going on in a person's life. All the other factors that are, contributing that make up that person are underlying factors that we often don't see. So part of that is going through those and like picking those apart and being like, okay, this is the way I feel, the way I do. And when you address those things, you actually get to the root of why it's there. I see addiction as a symptom rather than like, oh, you have this or you have this labeled. No, it's not. There's always something more. And that's just how it manifests. That's how it comes out. It can come out in a million other ways, but that's one of the ways that we're familiar with and one of the ways that we're going to be addressing tomorrow. So you can quit. I mean, it takes a lot of willpower and stuff like that to actually like make this choice and to move forward and to be not in active addiction. But part of the recovery phase is picking up those pieces, going through the stuff, doing the inner work, and a lot of that is skipped over. And I think that's what we're trying to change. I know Steffi has a huge part in this. She's changing the face of recovery where she is. Jeremy, you're doing it where you are. Cortney has her perspective on things and how she's done things in her life, and it's been amazing. Like, and I've done stuff for myself I think it's really crazy because I've always had this pull there, but that's not there anymore. When you address those underlying symptoms, like that pull isn't there to want to do stuff. I had surgery. I still have the bottle of prescription painkillers in the cupboard. That never would have happened. Like I never thought there'd be a day where that'd be something. Like they've been sitting there for 6 months. I don't even think about it. Because it's not. Those things that would drive you to that aren't there. So you get to the root of that, and you just start living the best life and get to the best version of you because you address those core issues. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about your experiences. I mean, I have my own, and be talking a little bit more about that more tomorrow, but
we would love to, but right now we just want to really quickly, just so we do this the proper way, to take 3 deep breaths, create sacred space around ourselves as our sisters and brothers come together as one. We realize everybody has their own beliefs, but this is something that's really benefited for us in the past, because we all wanted to come together as one. Anyone that watches this, anybody that views this at a later date, and as we do that, and we create sacred space around us, we call on the book of life to bring forward our Ula love, Ula light, our animals, totem, sacred colors, guides, our protectors, those who are willing to assist our sisters and brothers at this point in time. We ask that you deeply ground us from the very beginning of time, Mother Earth, sacred heart space, and we're ground our inner child, the mature self, our higher self, divine masculine, divine feminine, feminine masculine, higher self, mature self, inner child from the very beginning of time. All 13 directions, densities, dimensions, energetic grids, universes, parallel universes, and any other way, knowingly or unknowingly, for healing as we come together as one. And I thank you all for allowing us to do that. And yeah, so quantum healing for me. Now, Matt, what we really like to talk about, we want to ask something, and not to try to take the role of a facilitator in this conversation, but what's really beautiful, what's really important to recognize, and this is not to say anything. A lot of people try different modalities of recovery. A lot of them are familiar with the 12-step program. There are many different variations of that. And not to bring anything into public controversy, but one thing that really, how I got sober was really self-actualization through Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I had to understand different aspects. One thing that really, when I cried it out and forgave myself for the lies I told myself, knowingly or unknowingly, all the things, all my traumas, I realized I was doing quantum healing in a shower one day. That I didn't even understand. It was such a paradigm shift for me, you guys. And now now that I've become aware, I met Matt at a psychic convention one day, and no coincidence. And we started talking, and then we did a session. And this is just really to just plant seeds of quantum healing and how important it is for every individual. Because I have worked 12-step programs. That said, I know that our sister Cortney has as well. Steffi, I believe you have. But Matt, you didn't, from my understanding, right? You used quantum healing?
Tried to, it just didn't fit. And I found a group that was more kind of out of the box that really like gave me that push to kind of explore this in my own way. So
yeah, and Matt is a scientist. He has multiple degrees and a scientific background. So for a scientist to look at this from the quantum perspective is also something we'd like to acknowledge, because it really changed the game. And I know that you're a very logical-minded, intelligent being that likes to try to understand things. And some of this deep quantum stuff, it's more, for me, was more of a feeling, a shift, a vibrational shift that really, on a subconscious, conscious level, like we do quantum healing sessions, we don't even remember what we're talking about. Sometimes they can last hours and it seems like minutes. It is super connecting to your higher self. How do you refer to that, Matt? As the Godhead, or how the overseer? Some people research.
I say it as that higher perspective, like how everyone views it differently, has different names for it. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter what you believe or what. That higher aspect of you that's constantly guiding you, your gut feeling, your intuition, it's all that connection to everything.
Yeah. And then I'll pass it over to Cortney to hear about her experience. But my experience with it was so game changing, and it can go so much deeper. You can get into past lives. You can get into all sorts of things. We're here to talk about recovery and the benefits of that. But there were so many deep seated, energies or fears that I had within my essence, in my cells, that I didn't even possibly understand or couldn't understand. There was a time where I didn't believe in past lives, but then there was a time where I experienced certain fears, and this would all manifest and help push me into addiction. The reason why we want to talk about that is because this was really deep stuff for me. And once I went into the deeper Akashic record, what is known as Akashic record of the history of our essence or whatever the universe has been, that I allowed the possibility of this, and I experienced it, and it brought such profound change for my consciousness, for my vibration, for the density, to let go of so many things. And once I did one session with Matt, I was given the tools, and this is some things that will be offered at this, that some understanding of this, how we can connect with our higher selves. So anyone that doesn't believe in a power greater than themselves, we recommend you join us tomorrow, or check out a group session with Matt or another healer, or however way, we support everything in the universe. But quantum healing was such a game changer for me, you guys. It went so deep. It helped me to see myself from my higher self perspective, where the most beautiful thing I remember saying was hearing my own voice tell me how beautiful I was, how much my higher self loved. Cortney, I'm going to pass that over to you because you're nodding your head. Go ahead. What is your experience?
Yeah, I can completely relate to what you're saying about that beautiful moment when I kind of heard my own voice say how powerful and beautiful I was, and I just burst into tears. But like rewinding a little bit, as far as my addiction and things, I went to rehab, and I went through the 12 steps, and I, was sponsoring other women, and doing that. And I just kept feeling like there was something more, and I was looking for something more, and I couldn't figure out exactly what more was. I think my biggest thing too was, kind of touching on what Matt said, like fitting in this box. Like I needed to only be concentrated on having a relationship with God as my higher power. There was nothing else available to me. So, I kind of went on this journey to find what that more was. So I kept pushing and looking for other avenues, to help through my addiction and to open up myself spiritually. Read a lot of books, did whatever I could, started going to some of these spiritual fairs with Jeremy, and I started meditating for the first time and getting in touch. I remember doing like a quantum jump meditation that like I freaked myself out about. It was all really scary, really new. And it just seemed to come super natural to me, which freaked me out even more. I'm riddled with self-doubt, as my addiction kind of numbed that over. So I ended up going to, I set up the appointment with Matt to do the quantum healing. I will say that the day before, I got so sick. I was just sitting there working, and all of a sudden this huge heat came over me, and I was like dying, like sweating profusely, and I was like puking, and I was just purging. I didn't know this at the time, but I called Matt. I'm like, I'm sick. I don't know what's going on. And he's like, yep, good. I'm like, okay. So yeah, and that's what it was. It was my body purging and getting ready for this beautiful experience. By far one of the best things I've ever done for myself, besides, find my spiritual path and what I perceive that to be, is doing the quantum healing with Matt. It was absolutely life-changing, absolutely game-changing. I was doing the meditation and finding my spirit guides and doing all the things I needed to do, but there, I think my addiction played a part in that as well. I held on to a lot of guilt, shame, and fear that I didn't even realize I was fearful. Come to find out, not only am I fearful of success, fearful of failure, fearful of what other people think, validation. I mean, there's so many layers, and I thought I was super tough. The quantum healing, though, I was, under, or for lack of better words, I was in my space very quickly. And, I remember a few things that I was saying, like, you're there, but you're not there. You're under this like hypnosis meditative state. Matt has better verbiage for that. But so, it felt like I was under for maybe 20 minutes. It turns out I was doing it for like 3 hours. I definitely moved through a lot of things, guilt and shame about my mother and me as a mother and me with my addiction, and all of my past, all the things I was holding on to. And like Jeremy was saying, like I heard myself say, like, you're such a beautiful, powerful person. And I just burst into tears because like most of us, especially addicts, we have this constant ego whisper in our ear, like, you're not good enough, you're a piece of shit. It's that constant whisper in your ear that you don't know how to get rid of. So the quantum healing absolutely cleared a good 98% of that. After the quantum healing, I felt just kind of like, oof, really exhausted. I feel I just moved a lot of things. And on the way home, though, I just am driving and my smile just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I started laughing hysterically. I'm laughing hysterically, crying my eyes out. I know I called Jeremy. I'm pretty sure I called Matt, like, oh, I'm so happy. Like the joy I felt was such a pure, just complete joy and like vibrational shift. And it was like I had shed all the parts of me that I didn't like. It was so freeing. There's no words to describe like how amazing I felt after that. So grateful for that experience. And Matt, I definitely continue to go to all of the classes that I possibly can through him. Fantastic facilitator of that quantum healing. And and today I also learned that I'm supposed to be doing Reiki healing, which I did the classes, and I'm working on practicing that more, and doing the things that I'm kind of my purpose to do. I found out that my purpose is to heal people. I always felt like that, but getting that verification that is absolutely my purpose here really locked things in for me and pushed me to do what I'm here for and what I naturally can do, and realize how powerful and it's just a natural thing. That's what I'm here for. So that is my experience with quantum healing. Super grateful for Matt. Thank you so much for having me on this video that I'm super uncomfortable with. And I love you.
You're past that.
Yeah. I like what she said, because it, like, basically that joy and everything she felt, that's what we are at the core. We pack on all these layers, like Courtney said, and all these things. Like she said, she feel like she shed stuff, but like really, it's getting back to like who you are. We put so much judgment on ourselves and all these layers, and like we're buried underneath all this crap. Like you don't see a 2-year-old that's depressed or like like they're just doing their thing. So I don't know. People think we have to do this to get somewhere. It's like, no, you just have to dump off all the crap that makes you feel the way you are, and a lot of it we're doing to ourselves, and we don't even realize it.
And taking a lot of other people's beliefs, and things that we think we should be doing for them, basically.
It's also interesting when Courtney was talking about how she was getting sick before her session, because that timeline, this is how quantum is very deep esoteric, but it really makes sense when you look at it and you understand it. That she had chosen with her free will to have this session, that timeline was holding space and time, that she actually started to move some of that dense energy before her session, which is remarkable. The healing had already started, preparing her to purge through some of that, let go of that density, that all those belief, and we don't even have to understand what it is. We just cry, we puke, we feel better, and then we come out the other side, and it is game changing. I mean, so we just want to acknowledge that time and space and how powerful this is. It's, as a scientist, Matt, you would say, how could this be possible? It's a symptom. That must be the mental body creating that in the physical. But no, I don't feel that way at all anymore. Now I understand time isn't truly linear. We've done too many case studies with sisters and brothers that have been preparing us, that prepared for quantum healing. Talked to too many sisters and brothers who have gone to get sessions and started feeling the energy moving. We experience this in Reiki. We experience this with a lot of different things when it comes to energy work.
That process of just committing to bettering yourself can be enough to just kickstart things. It's like, it's knowing what we're going to cover, and you'd be like, I'm going to do this. That's enough to start shifting things. I don't know how many times a person calls me and just they set down the phone and they're like, I had this for 7 years. This physical symptom went away. What happened? And it's like, no, this is already known what we were going to cover. Like, time's not linear, so it doesn't And it allows us to cover so much time in the part that people think is the actual session. But like really it started the second you make that commitment, and it continues on, it doesn't, there's so much more that goes into that. So that's why that happened.
Beautiful. Steffi, what are your Steffi, wake up, Steffi. You're muted.
Yeah, I muted me because I'm doing other stuff in the background here for the comments and whatnot. So I don't want to be
sure.
mad. Quantum healing. I think, therefore I am. And I think it's so beautiful because this has exponentially grown my recovery, my life, my all of it. From the first session I sat with Matt, I let go of so many things that and we heard Cortney and Jeremy both speak of, and Matt too, from the second I not even just from the second I made the decision to set up a session, even from when I started thinking about it. And at the time, I was really going through a lot of rough stuff because I was raped in May, and I went through some really deep feelings about that, and that was a rough trauma. I've been through a lot of traumas in my lifetime, and other lifetimes too, but this one I did clean, and that's a whole different monster, so and immediately I started moving energy, and because it's like as soon as you know that you're doing something about it, it's like I said, time isn't linear, but you're already processing things because you're thinking about the questions you're going to ask, the things you need to know. And like, I dedicated myself to the process. I might have left all my questions at home, but I did it. You know what I mean? And it was like, I knew as I walked through that door that it was done. The healing, I had no doubt in my mind as I walked through that door that it was a game changer and life-changing event for me. And Jeremy had said to me, you're going to be tired. You're going to move a lot of energy. You're going to, and I was kind of prepared for that. But at the same time, I don't react to things like a lot of people do. So I came out of there probably ready to pick up the back end of my car. I don't know.
And that was not to interrupt you, but that was not my experience, and it's good to know that everybody is very different.
Right.
I could have slept for 5 days afterwards. I was not brimming from ear to ear with the giggles. I was I felt like I ran a marathon, and everybody's very different when they do sessions, deep sessions like that. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, just had to say very different.
And I came on, I put on another 250 miles that day, and I was, but it's like I felt like I had been freed from an extensive weight that I'd been carrying for a very, very long time. And I can't, and people talk, okay, first of all, we look at 12-step programs, and we look at many different forms of recovery. As a recovery coach, I point people towards resources all the time to relieve them of their path, to encourage them, to relieve them of their burdens or underlying issues. And when we do this, it's usually, I would use the term surface level. And it takes a long time to dig through that and to get to the root of things. And what I hear over and over is that I'm not getting it. I'm not fixing the problem. I don't know what the problem is. I don't understand why. When what may be hard for people to understand until they can experience quantum healing is that when you go into a session, you are, for lack of a better way to put it, under hypnosis, which is basically what, I mean, correct me at any point if I'm wrong here, Matt, because this is how, your ego falls away. You maintain your free will. You don't have to, you're not going to do anything you wouldn't do otherwise. But all of your fears, all of your insecurities, everything that keeps you from accessing the things you need to access are gone. So you are able to get to the root of things very quickly. You're able to access things that you can't access. You go through probably years of counseling and can access in a couple of sessions with Matt, or another quantum healer, or however, I mean, this guy over here. And when you can get to the root of these things, you have the answers inside you. The answers are all inside you. And, I spend a lot of time in meditation, and that's very helpful for me. But to have someone sitting there guiding you, and able to ask the right questions and take you to the places that you need to go to answer your own questions. Because things become very crystal clear when you don't have to fight your own ego, fight your own insecurities, fight the things the roadblocks you put in front of yourself. You very quickly can heal yourself, because that's literally what you do. And I came out feeling very refreshed. And as time goes by, it's not like you walk out and all your healing is done. You keep integrating things. Oh, I mean, you'll all of a sudden have an aha moment, and especially the first few days, and like your session's recorded. So you go back and you listen to it. And like for myself, I will suddenly know when I need to go back and listen to something. Because I will feel that, okay, well, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure that we covered this in one of my sessions, this session or that session, or I'll be thinking about something I know was in there, and I'll go back and I'll pop it in the side of the computer and I'll listen to it. Sometimes it's just as simple as popping it in the computer and looking at the file name because there's something about the file name that, you know what I mean? It's just things that, and then you go, oh yeah, I told me all about myself. Never mind. And it's, your answers are inside of you if you're willing to take the leap and access them. And all the bullshit falls aside because you're not blocking yourself when you're in that state, when you're in that state of speaking to your higher self, that God consciousness. And I recommend everybody who can't seem to get past shit, can't seem to figure shit out, can't, they got trauma, they got it. I'm like, you need to go talk to Matt Schmidt. So, I'm forever grateful for your guidance. I will continue to use your guidance. And, I think this is a great thing that you're doing. I think everybody that is trying to get into recovery is in recovery, wants to level up in their lives, needs some direction, wants to figure out who they are, what they are, where they're going, should definitely utilize such services. That's all I got.
That Steffi, that is so beautiful. But go ahead, Matt. Go ahead, Matt. You want to?
I was going to say, with the things that you learned about yourself, how does that make you better at your job now? Because there's so many things that, like you had to work through, and you're helping people do that same thing. So can you tell a little bit about what you learned and how that changes how you address recovery?
Definitely. For one thing, I learned that I have a fixer personality, or I've had a fixer personality, and I used to take personally other people's, I don't like the word failure, but like their setbacks. So in realizing that I'm responsible for fixing myself and that I have the capability to fix myself, so do other people. So like being able to like Jeremy always says, it's not my job to fix, manage, or control anything, or to fix anyone. No, as well as I'm a guide, not I'm not a fixer. That's not what, but it has taken a lot of the stress off of me, because I realized that my role isn't to fix anyone. But I can definitely put resources in front of them to help them fix themselves. Whether they take that or not, that's their free will. And as well, it seems that I do a lot more. I get a lot more accomplished because I'm not running around in my head trying, and I don't know, I'm just getting a lot more done and putting out a whole lot less energy because I'm not running around in my head like I was. It's, I'm reaching for more tools to better myself, because I recognize that in bettering myself, I'm bettering, I'm doing things for the collective. Working on myself is healing myself, is healing the collective, because we pass those things on. And, that level up for me, is something that people gravitate towards you. So when you live your life a certain way, and the people that I'm going to help the most are not going to be people whose doors I go beating down trying to force my way of life on them. It doesn't work the best that way. What works the best is for me to take care of me, and me to be in a position where they can see how I live my life, and them to approach me and say, hey, I like what you got. How'd you get there? How'd you get it? Me to say, well, I have this tool and I have this tool and I have this tool. This is what I've done. Would you like to try that?
I think that's powerful too, because what you do, not only is it less responsibility and less draining on you, because really you have no control over what they decide to do, like you mentioned, but it's so empowering for those people. They take their power back, like, oh, I can choose to do this, and then they're watching themselves do it now, like, oh, Steffi did this for me. No, they're like taking that, and they take that back. They're proud of it, and that empowers them to change all these avenues of their life that they had no idea that they could even do.
And I don't want that responsibility. You know what I mean? I do not want that responsibility. I am literally, I am called, and you know, my purpose is to bring unity, tolerance, to teach unity and tolerance, and to um, be a guide, give resources, and light the way. Not push people down the way, not force people. Yeah, and that's a whole lot different than the life I used to live. The life I used to live was filled with my way or the highway, you know. And this is a whole lot better because it's so much more relaxing, and I actually get a whole lot more done.
The irony, huh?
Right?
I can
You guys,
completely
before
relate to the fixing other people. I think that was part of the chaos in my life too, which the chaos I enjoyed so much is, it helped me not have to look at myself and be able to fix other people, because it's way easier fixing them than actually looking at the shit that's going on with me.
Yeah.
you guys, before I shit myself just now when
I
some of
saw
my
that.
friends pounded on the door and scared the crap out of me, I had this thought about how deep really quantum healing can go. And once I gained the wisdom and the understanding on how to access my higher self, I went deep, you guys. So and how do I apply this to addiction? Well, let's say Jeremy was deadly afraid of drowning, right? I was very afraid of drowning. I could see myself getting on oh, if I'm going to have to get on a ferry or something, or I might have a cocktail before I'd go, right? I would have such fear over drowning. So then one day I said, you know what? Just ask. I know I've been shown and gaining understanding how to connect with my higher self, and I did that, and I experienced, and whether or not you live in what I believe in past lives or not, this is okay, because at the root of it, based on my beliefs, I believe my feeling would have showed me why I'm afraid of that in this life cycle. But I saw an experience of a life cycle where I had died, and I experienced my death in a former past life, and I just experienced it. It was beautiful, transcendent. There was no fear there, and after that, I am no longer afraid of drowning, and that helped me in my recovery. So I went very deep on that. It was very esoteric. I know I've had conversation with Cortney. I've loved Cortney. I know we've talked about, like, remember auto writing? Courtney was starting to do auto writing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically channeling your higher self or your spirit guides and writing on behalf of spirit or your higher self. And it kind of freaked you out. And I remember, I think we made a suggestion to you. Ask why. Where's that fear coming from? Do you care to talk about that?
It was basically my fear of my own power. I think I really enjoyed holding on to self-doubt, as stupid as that sounds. I enjoyed it because I was so scared of, number one, being successful in anything, number one, being, failing at it, anything, fear of everything, surrounded by it. But what had happened is I started doing the auto writing, and I wrote some things down, and a few days later, everything that I wrote down happened. It just kind of unfolded. I didn't really, I was just simply writing. I didn't even ask any questions. I meditate and started writing. And it just, everything unfolded, and I freaked myself out because I thought, well, there's no way, like I had to have heard this something. I made this happen. Like, just overthinking it. So that I couldn't, admit that I am powerful, and I am spiritual, and I am connected to these things that I want to be connected to. So it's so odd to me that, things that I want so bad, I was just literally just holding myself back from, purely out of fear for everything. And doing the auto writing led me to started doing like shadow work and looking at the darker parts of me that I, even though I've done a lot of work myself, there was still parts I needed to work on. and just having conversations with the parts of me that I have been hiding for so long has been yet another like freeing, another level of free. It's just this whole spiritual journey, and the people that I've met, Steffi, Matt, Jeremy, so many people. I'm so grateful. And again, thank you, Matt, and thank you, Steffi, for having me on here. I love you guys so much, and I really appreciate it.
I'm glad you came.
Me too. It's not as bad as I thought.
I told you it wouldn't be.
You were right.
Guys, and I would be remiss not to just talk about another aspect of quantum healing, is that how literally the body does what the mind tells it to. When you come from that, like Steffi was saying, there's no ego in this, or no time, no space when we do a deep session of quantum healing, and that you're just an observer and you're seeing what it came from, right? And how many people have healed themselves, cured themselves from Hep C, cured themselves from HIV, cured themselves from broken bones, reheal, thyroids regrow, like the body literally does. And we get to the truth of it and see what is it about the thyroid. When Matt would ask a question for a sister or brother in session, where does this stem from? And and the workshop will be very beautiful tomorrow, because it will talk about a lot of what Matt's experienced. I'm sure whatever that looks like will be beautiful. And yet it's like it turns out that somebody's not speaking their truth, so they have this manifestation with a physical body ailment. People cure themselves from cancer, from anything. All of this is possible. This is absolutely a game changer for not only understanding our physical body, the messaging on how our thoughts are manifest into cellular anomalies or illness in our bodies. We see where that comes from. All of these things helping ourselves to heal from physical ailments will also deeply help your recovery for addiction. These are the flags that trigger us, that create that fear. If you can get to the root of that and gain understanding how to connect with your higher self, how to work with your own aspect of your higher self or your spirit or your soul or whatever. Why do we need to put a label on it? The truth of it is that those who have been open to it, experienced it, embraced it, have experienced magical, truly magical alchemy and transmutation of energy, freeness, conscious expansion, freeness, more peace, more oneness. I mean, it's so beautiful. And we are so grateful for the Green Bay Psychic Fair, which we walked in and said, "Hi, what's this tall drink of water?" And it was Matt Schmidt. It's just been a beautiful alignment. We're so grateful. And like Cortney said, we've met so many other beautiful people in community that are like healers or do energy work. And it's like Matt says all the time, we're just getting started, guys. We're just getting started. With that, I'll pass.
I think that was pretty good overview. Should we wrap it up? Maybe give those details again. I don't have them memorized like Jeremy does. You mind hopping on, Jeremy?
Yeah. Well, we're really excited about this. We're just offering, like Steffi said, as a recovery coach, he's offering different pathways. Courtney's gotten into Reiki. Matt's a Reiki master. We all do a lot of different energy work and things like that really help change recovery, right? We started really seeing recovery as consciousness, frequency, and vibration, and beliefs, and all these things. So recovery is changing. There are more pathways. We're super grateful for healing, holistic, different approaches. And so we're very grateful to have Matt come to Solutions Recovery Center. Again, it's Solutions Recovery Center. The address is 621 Evans Street, EVANS Street, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, 54901. 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. will be a beautiful workshop and some session work with the group. Bring a notebook if you feel compelled. Drink your water. Come with an open mind and an open heart and experience something. Take notes and Hey guys, game changing. We look forward to seeing all of you there. Everybody is welcome tomorrow to join us. 621 Evans Street Solutions Recovery Center in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for doing this.
Thank
This is
you.
awesome.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. So very good.
All
Okay.
right, bye, guys.
High fives.
Ciao.